Hi everyone, we are now doing task 12 of the ZigZag task, and it is a pretty decent one if I say so myself. We want to modify the skeleton program to allow the user to enter their own simulation. Now we've messed with the simulation stuff around task 4b, and I guess like if I had the refactor, we want to basically let the user enter every parameter for a simulation, but we need to validate the input so that it needs to be an int and it needs to be between the min and the max, and then just run the simulation with those parameters. So let's just have a quick look at what's 4D, I want to say. No, 4B. Yeah, right, so in 4B I refactored, as in changed the simulation class so that we had effectively a dictionary for the simulations, and then is the 5? Is there meant to be a 5? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then whatever. This was like a couple of videos ago, so I'm not going to ask myself think too hard about this. Let's go. I take the original, copy it, paste it, rename it to z12.py, and it's here. So we want a new helper function. It's a static method, as in like, you know, a function at the top level namespace type affair that will prompt the user to enter the required simulation parameters as described, including the required helper methods to ensure that the data supplied in the simulation is the correct format and is within range. So we're going to be doing a lot of that. Let's just have this GetCustomSimulation. Now the scaffolding for this, right? We need an elif. So what we want is like, we want a fifth option that says you can roll your own, right? 1 for selecting inbuilt simulation, or 5 to select a custom simulation. So or 5 for custom sim. So if the simulation is number is 5, I'm gonna that's equal, not just equal, obviously. Oh, that's a bit bigger for you. Yeah, cool. And then if it's 5, hello, right, indented correctly, simulation parameters becomes equal to get, and it's get simulation parameters, get custom simulation. So we want our get custom simulation static method, or then kind of like top level function, which we can have anywhere here. I'm going to pull it before the classes are defined, after get choice and get cell reference. Get choice doesn't really do much. That might be, but the fact we already have a function here might be, they might ask you to, why don't you do input validation in this? This might be the 5 marks first question of section D. Def custom get custom, I've already forgotten. Yeah, get custom simulation. Let me just pass here so I can, do we have get custom simulation, and then just we instantiate a simulation class with the simulation parameters. Now, this is where, to kind of make things a little bit neater, I'm going to want to have a def get valid int, and I'm going to pass it the name, the min, and the max. And this is going to say, of course, we start with valid is false, and while not valid. That's the design pattern. Like whatever input we're validating, the idea of kind of set something to false and then have a while on the not of it, that's a classic. So whilst we're not valid, we are going to ask for input from the user as a string. Enter maybe a value 4, and then put the name here, and then I'm going to put min hyphen max. Close the curly, hyphen, open the curly, max, close the curly, inclusive, and then put a caret for the shell. So this doesn't look nice because it should look like this. Enter value for whatever the name, and in brackets it should be between this and that, inclusive. This is where we get a value as a string. So we're gonna say if all of character in every character of the string input needs to be one of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So this character should be in this string of digits 4C in S. and all is text in a list of booleans, which is here. So if every character is in this, and then an else here, where we're going to print, please enter an integer, exclamation mark, and then just do continue. So I mean, I don't really know how I'm structuring the loop, but like it shouldn't really matter, because if I'm going that way, you can test for the errors, or you could test for the absence of error. It just kind of mirrors the logic. That's what you're doing. So here, this at here, we know that we can cast it into an int. So n is equal to int of s, and then if min larger or equal than n, or equal than, sorry, smaller or equal than max. So this is, we validated that s was an integer, then we cast it to an int, and we validated this int as being in between the min and the max inclusive. If that is correct, then we say valid is equal to true, and if not, we print an error message, please enter a number between min and max. And of course, for this to be rendered neatly, I need to make that an F. F stands for format, not for the F word. Right, so this is input validation. We check it's an integer. If it is an integer, we cast it, and then we check it's in between thing. If we hear valid is true, meaning we come out of the loop, we're not going to go to else, we're here, going to escape that loop here, and then after that, we're simply going to return n. Right, so this returned a validated int based on name, min, and max. Now this is where it gets a little bit fiddly, but for, you know what, I really want, I think, to do it cleanly, because I could do it without having the name. I mean, like, it would be good to have these in a constant, so I'm going to put that to this side, and going to write this at the top. You know what, I'm going to put it like above my GetCustomSimulation, because that way I have it. I mean, frankly, I could even put it in here, but let's power sim capitals for constant sim params is equal to, and so that should be a list of lists, a list of triplets. I might make tuple, right, with the name. So it's going to be a nest. Actually, just nest. Right, 1 bit 1 and 5. Okay, fine, that will do, right? Nest between 1 and 5. Rows between 5 and 20. Columns, etc. Also between 5 and 20. There's so many little characters, there's so many ways of getting this bit wrong, but it will pay off. Food per nest, and this is between 100 and 1000. Then I have food cells, in quotes, food cells, which can be, each food cell has got 500, but it can be on the cell, so you'll, same cell, so you will see some cells with 10,000, 1500. Number of food cells is between 1 and 10. Food per nest, food cells, it's called full food cells. And ants per nest. And that's between 5 and 20. The test, by the way, do not ask you to verify all of the input validation. You just say -1 if it's the number of nests, right? So, but the principle is here, right? For each of those, we have the name, so we can display to the user, and the min and the max, so we can validate it. Ends per nest, pheromone strength and pheromone decay. pH strength, and that's between 500 and 2000, and comma, finally, pheromone decay is between 10 and 20. Super. 10 and 200, whatever, right? It's like you need the name, the min, the max. Just quick check that I've not put a comma inside the quotes or messed this up. No, we're good. So I have now a list called sims params, which means that in GetCustomSimulation, I can do 4. And I think, let me just check, right? if I just fire up a Python shell, ideally spelling it correctly, and if I have a list that's a set of triplets, 1, 2, 3, right, comma, 4, 5, 6, and to iterate I can say 4, so I can say for x in L, print, this is going to print them like that, but I can also do for a print a. Right, so now I'm getting each of the 3, and in that instance I'm using one of them. So if you have a list of lists, you can get to the sub-elements, I suppose, by doing for whatever, right? So I'm going to do for name, min, max, in sim. So for each of those sim parameters, I'm then going to, right, what do we want to do? I want to simulate, simulation parameters start as the empty list, and for each of the name, min, max, and the sim parameters, we're going to append to this list. And we're appending whatever comes back from get valid int with name, min, max. Very nice, very elegant. And then all we need to do is return simulation parameters. Now, let's see how broken that is, because of course when you run the stuff, it never works for the first time. Or does it? Sometimes it does. Whatever. Don't need Python. I'm just going to run the code, which is at 12. Run it. Come on. So 5 for custom sim, and if I say -1, it crashes, right? And it's asking me the nest is giving me, so if I say 6, it's going to reject it. Do you know what? I want a little, I've messed this up. It's caret, then, this is a caret greater than a space, right? Because you get the console command. But anyway, we want one, how many nests do we want? 3 nests? Let's just use the test data. 2 nests, 5 rows, 6 column, 750, whatever's the next question is, food per nest, 4 food cells, 18 ounce in each nest, a lot of ounce, and 500 strength, and then 100 ferment decay. Boom. And then, right, we have the simulation. Now, are we simulating the right thing? Let's see. Display the overall area, because when they're asking us to check when testing, right? Simulation detail, a second screenshot of the program displaying the custom simulation detail. So they do warn you some food sources could be stacked upon each other in 4 times. So you can't change this. It's always 500 per cell, but you control how many cells there are. And so what do I have? Oh, yeah, I've got my 18 ounce per nest. I've got my 2 nests with 18 ounce each, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cells, and you notice there's like 6 columns, but only 5 rows. So it looks like actually it worked. It's unbelievable. Let's advance it by 10 stages and see how my nests are doing. Are they all dead? Ooh, we're laying pheromones. We kind of really tucking into the food. There's not much food left. Not a lot of, there's food here. There's no food in that nest. Oh, that's gonna be colony collapse. All right, let us look at the old diff. I already have my original being the selected I'm going to compare with, and I can switch it off and switch it around. So we look at the diff on that side, on that side. Okay, yeah, right, the diff. What we've changed here, we have a new option in the simulation choice menu, 5, which is this. We need to actually tell the user 5 is for a custom simulation, which is helpful. Yeah, you can see that this is what I've changed. Then all we need to do is, yeah, sorry, there's also this guy, which of course we take the new option 5. We'll just call the new GetCustomSimulation. This is defined a little bit lower. I have my helper function getValidInt, which is really helpful because it needs name, min, max. It's going to display, enter a value for whatever nicely. Check it's an int. Check it. I've not showcased, but it will break and ask the input to get if you enter something that's not an int, and then validate it and then return that integers. And so, which means that I've got my little sim params that contains the name of the parameters of each parameters and the min and max for each parameters for that. So it can be conveniently passed to my new helper function, which means that now GetCustomSimulation is super simple. We're just going to iterate over sim params, and then take the name min and max from each, and then simply just kind of append to the simulation parameters what we got back from getValidInt with those 3 arguments, and then return the simulation parameters, which we're going to return to here, and then that just instantiate the simulation with those parameters. Simple. All right, that was task number 12. We're getting into the double digits, but they're not necessarily as spicy. There was kind of a bump. Maybe it's just I struggled. But thank you for watching, and see you very soon for the next task.